this evening. This is our annual meeting of sorts where we reorganize based upon the results of the election that was held back in November. And then we also make our committee appointments and so forth for the coming year or two. And anyway, we'll begin the proceedings now. And if you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, after which Councilman Biggs will offer an invocation and then we'll get started. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eternal Father, we thank you so much for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us in this town. And Father, we just thank you now that we are able to bring on 2 new council members that are willing to serve and work for what a great town. And Father, we're also thankful for the 2 that will be leaving us tonight. And we thank you for all that they have done to provide leadership for the town of Edenton. Guide us this night, Father. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, sir. Next item, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as listed on the agenda.
I move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, comments, additions, deletions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, the minutes are approved. Oh, just as a housekeeping matter, Councilman Stallings is going to leave us early tonight, so if you see him stand up and exit the building, he has another engagement that he needs to attend. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Okay, as Councilman Biggs mentioned in his invocation, the first order of business tonight is to bid farewell to 2 of our council members who have served us diligently and very professionally over a good number of years. Bob Quinn served 2 terms on the town council, a total of 8 years. Norma Simpson served 6 years on the town council, fulfilling a partial term and then being re-elected for a full 4-year term after that. We've done a lot together up here with these 2 individuals. They will be missed. I know the town of Edenton will feel their absence as well. They were re-elected to their positions, which is a vote of confidence that was expressed to them by way of the ballot box, that their service was indeed appreciated. And so as we leave, or as they leave us tonight, we have for you a little gift that we would like to present on behalf of your fellow council members. So if you would join me up front and I'll make the presentation. And following that, council members, we've been asked to join as a group one last time for a photo op, and then we'll bring the new council members up for their swearing in. So.
And Mayor, I think they wanted to make some comments too.
Oh, okay.
Did you?
Well, let's do that.
Say that again.
Make comments. You want to make some comments?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But I thought after we, what do you want?
Let's do it. Let's do it now before we get out of it.
Okay. Believe me, there is a lot I could talk about, but after much deliberation, I chose to say thank you for the opportunity to serve Edenton, partnering with an endless list of dedicated people, most specifically committed town employees, staff, and volunteers. My fellow council members, our mayor and town manager, I thank you. During my privileged time on the council, we've responded to many challenges, from feral cats to hurricanes, from housing to highways, shootings to floods, rainstorms to breweries. We've touched on them all. The fact is, the past is prologue. We've learned a lot. But in learning that all that we've done and experienced has been important, but the most important thing is the future and what we as council members and also as citizens of our community to know that today, what we do today can make a huge difference in the future. And frankly, that is what counts, our base now for the future. I wish to welcome our new councilmen and at the same time charge them along with reminding my fellow council members to always think past today in decision making. I suggest looking 10 years ahead and thinking about what your vote may mean 10 years from now, both the negative or the positive. Consider the possibilities each way. Much we do today, keeping the future in mind, can embellish and feed Edenton's success. It's not easy to see ahead, and it's impossible to be sure. But it is appropriate and important to always consider what a decision today can mean in the future. I'm proud to have been part of the Edenton Town Council. I've enjoyed my time here. 2018 will mark my 20th year of retirement. I feel exceptionally blessed that I chose to live in Edenton. Enjoying its place on earth and the fabulous people that live here. I feel exceptionally blessed. You have enriched my life experience, and I want to thank you.
Councilwoman?
Good evening. Council, Quinn done said enough for him and I. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that supported me, especially my councilman, my town manager, my mayor. I'm going to miss you all. But first of all, I put God first because whenever I come to anybody meeting or I pray first. And we have had good times together. Sometimes all of us didn't agree, but we still love each other. And I want to let you know that the one that's coming on, y'all got my prayers. Anything that I can do for you, feel free to call me, please. And I'll still be around. And I have enjoyed I have learned a lot. And there's a lot I still don't know. But through it all, y'all got my prayers. And I love you all. And God bless you.
Bob, would you and Norma step up here, please? Just as a token of our appreciation and a parting gift, we would like to present each of you with one of the more symbolic pieces of Edenton, as it has been for many, many years, and that is a rendering of our teapot. All right. Something you can put on your desk or on a shelf and remember the good times you had back here with us. You're very welcome.
I'm not gonna hug you.
No, that's
Thank you. Beautiful.
All right, good.
Thank you.
And now, Captain, don't you want to, Anne-Marie, you want to get the whole group?
Yes, please.
So if y'all would join us up there, and we'll have
Back again.
one last time. What do you want us to get?
A little bit.
This way.
Yeah, so you're all on the road. There you go. Oh, that's gonna be great. Steve?
You mean get behind?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I'm gonna push that chair out. Thank you.
We'll use it to hide.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to tighten up. That is really nice. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Great, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I'm right behind you. Okay.
Okay, at this time, I would like to ask our departing council members to take a seat in the audience, and I would like to invite Reverend Poole and Craig Miller to come forward, please.
Gotta take my candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll give him mine.
And also your,
No. I don't need it. You take here. You take mine.
take your nameplate too now.
Oh, the name?
Yes.
I'll just move you over there.
You can put that where Joseph can see it. So
Thank you.
remind you who's the boss.
Thanks.
Elton, you gonna move down one?
I gotta move down.
Yes.
Excuse me. I gotta give up my seat.
You don't have to.
Easy exit on this.
Okay.
All right, thank y'all. Everybody have a seat, and I'll invite Judge Rita Harris up. If you would, Judge. And
Yes, sir.
he will administer the oath to, we have 3 council members, one re-elected, Councilman Elton Bond, and then our 2 newly elected council members, whom we've just brought forward. So,
Well, first of all, Mayor, Council, I greatly appreciate the invitation and the honor and privilege to be here tonight to do this, and thank you very, very much. Councilman Bond, I was speaking with Ms. Knighton earlier. We're going to start with you, and we're going to do these individually, so everyone can bring up whoever they want to bring with them for the administration of the oath. And you being the senior, being sworn in, we're going to start with you.
Make me feel old.
If you'll have a seat, right over here. We're going to have it so photo op. Good to see All right. Put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. I, Elton Bond Jr. I, Elton Lee Bond Jr.
I, Elton Lee Bond Jr.,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith.
not inconsistent therewith,
Therewith, yes, sir. And that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as councilman of the Fourth Ward
as councilman of the Fourth Ward
for the town of Edenton,
for the town of Edenton,
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Get you to sign. We have 2 copies.
I reckon I can see.
And I believe Ms. Knighton will attest, and you want to go ahead and do that now? That's it. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Reverend Poole.
Congratulations. You notice who she gave that to, right?
I know.
You have a middle name. All right, if you will put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. I, Roscoe Toole Jr.,
I, Roscoe Poole Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my
the
office
duties of my office
as councilman of the Third Ward
as councilman of the Third Ward
for the town of Edenton, North Carolina.
for the town of Edenton, North Carolina.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Councilman.
There's only a seat back here. It'll get hot. Okay.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you.
put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. I, Craig E. Miller,
I, Craig E. Miller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of
the Constitution and laws of
the United States
the United States
and the Constitution and laws of
and the Constitution and laws of
North Carolina,
North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as councilman at large
as councilman at large
for the town of Edenton, North
for the
Carolina.
town of Edenton, North Carolina.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Councilman.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor and council, again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Okay, we're just about done with our transition. We have one more thing that council members we need to do, and that is to elect the mayor pro tem going forward. Floor is open.
Mayor, I'd like to put Councilman Biggs' name in nomination for Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you.
The reason I say that, I think he's been here the longest and served many years. He's also served in this position prior, so I think he has the knowledge of the job.
Okay, thank you, sir. Are there any other names to be placed in nomination? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the nomination as presented to elect Councilman Steve Biggs as Mayor Pro Tem, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you all.
Okay. And finally, I misstated, we have one more thing. We have some realignment on our boards and commissions as a result of the election, and so I will run through those briefly. The Finance Committee, we have 4 standing committees in our local government: Finance, Public Works, Utilities, and Administrative. Finance Committee will remain chaired by Councilman Dixon, and the other 2 members will be Councilman Biggs and Councilman Miller. Public Works Committee is chaired by Councilman Stallings, and he will be joined by Councilman Poole and Councilman Dixon. The Utilities Committee will be chaired by Councilman Bond, and he will be joined by Councilman Poole and Councilman Stallings. The Administrative Committee will be chaired by Councilman Biggs, and he will be joined by Councilman Miller and Councilman Bond. In addition, we have a power agency appointee, and that is our city manager, Anne Marie Knighton, and her first alternate, or the first alternate for the power agency position, is our director of the power in Edenton, Glenn Anderson. Mayor Pro Tem, we just elected, that's Councilman Biggs. The Airport Commission, our liaison will be Councilman Biggs. The Tree Committee liaison will be Councilman Miller. The Recreation Advisory Board liaison will be Councilman Miller. Destination Downtown Board appointee will be Councilman Dixon. Historic Preservation Commission, Councilman Dixon. Housing Authority Board liaison, Reverend Poole. Planning Board, Councilman Biggs. Board of Adjustment, Councilman Stallings. And the Edenton Chowan Partnership. Councilman Stallings, Bob Quinn will remain on that board. He's serving a term that he was just re-elected to, and under the bylaws of the Edenton Chowan Partnership, the town of Edenton can be represented by council members or individuals chosen from the general population. So now that Councilman Quinn has rejoined the citizenry of Edenton and is no longer a council member, he will still serve as a board member for the Edenton Chowan Partnership, along with Councilman Stallings and yours truly. So that completes our list of boards and commissions. Council members, thank you very much for agreeing to serve in those capacities. Now we'll move to item 4, which is our business agenda for this evening, and we'll have 3 committee reports tonight, beginning with our administrative committee, and that's what Councilman Biggs, please.
Mayor, we actually have 3 items on the agenda tonight, and the first one, give everybody a few seconds to get out. How about that?
Okay.
Don't blame.
You're losing your audience.
Might want to go with especially if they're going to get some sleep.
Make it quick.
The 3 items tonight, the first one, it is, the council should recommend approval for a pay and classification study. And during our administrative committee meeting, we didn't actually come up with which proposal we liked better. Tammy was going to be here that night, and of course she couldn't. But Anne Marie, I don't know if y'all have come up with one that you like better than the other, or?
We'll, where's Tammy? Tammy did all of the work. She solicited the proposals, received the proposals. She also provided you 2 weeks ago with reference checks. You know, she had reached out to other communities who had used both groups. And we reviewed the proposals and find that from qualification standpoint, we think both firms are capable and qualified to do the work. We also looked at their fees, and the fees were practically identical in terms of when you added all the different components up. When we looked at the experience, that was pretty, very rich, both firms' experience. Both proposals are going to provide us with basically the same end product, but Tammy noticed that the MAPS group has a team assigned already, or they would assign a team. So when they came to town and started the project, it would be undertaken by at least 3 staff members. And we think the other group, it looks like it would just be one person that would do the report or do all the work. And we feel like in order to meet the goal that the council has to have the report done in time for budget, that we'll probably get the report in a more timely manner, would be able to meet the deadline that you've set. So with that, we'd like to recommend, Tammy and I would like to recommend that you contract with the MAPS group. And Tammy talked to both of them, and they can start right after the first of the year.
Well, since that's the recommendation and y'all have spent a lot more time on it, and you're right, what it looks like both of them can do doesn't make any difference what the price is as far as they were so close. So I will make a motion then that from the administrative committee that we recommend the MAPS group.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that we hire the MAPS group to do our pay and classification study. Any questions or comments on the motion?
I just want to thank all of you for agreeing to do this. It is something that we have needed a long time. It's something that is certainly going to help our employees understand exactly what their job classifications are. I've been through this twice in my employment, and matter of fact, we've actually been through it 3 times. And it's amazing what these companies find that you had no idea that either your employees should be doing or could be doing, or what you're asking them to do that maybe they shouldn't be doing. So,
How long has it been since the last classification study? 5 years, 10 years?
Oh, we haven't done.
I don't think we've done one in 30 years.
30 years. Okay.
Things do change.
They do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, did we get a second?
Yes.
Okay. Got a motion and a second, and that was the discussion page we went to. Any further comments on the motion? All in favor of hiring the MAPS group to do the study, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right, very good, thank you.
Number 2, tonight it is recommended that council approve the agreement for the movie projection equipment at the Taylor Theater is presented, and I understand the building has closed now, or the real estate has closed. They're ready to get started and get moving, and thank everyone that was involved in that, and I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to lease the movie projection equipment as presented to the Taylor Theater operators. Comments or questions on that?
We're hopefully going to be up and running February 1.
That's fantastic. That's great.
Very good.
Good deal.
I want to thank Councilman Dixon, Mr. Sellers, Charlie Creighton for all the work they've done. It's been great.
And Paul Wolf is running
Paul
the
Wolf.
renovations. So
Okay,
if you
great.
see him downtown, thank him, because he's been in and out of that building almost 5 times a day.
Yeah.
So
Any further comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Very good.
And last but not least, it is recommended that the council approve the private sale of iPads and accessories to former council members as presented, which was for $50. That's the deal for us.
That's the deal.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion and a second to sell the iPads to our retiring council members as presented. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? All right,
That's it. Thank you, sir.
thank you. Next, we'll hear from our Utilities Committee chaired by Councilman Bond, please, sir.
Utilities Committee have only one item tonight. It is recommended that council approve the extension of the second 10-year term for ground lease with RMP LLC for aircraft hangar at the airport. I want to ask Anne Marie to help me out on this one,
Okay.
if she would.
I'd be happy to. The Utilities Committee reviewed the proposed lease extension at their last meeting. The ground lease has the option for another 10-year renewal, and the committee agreed to recommend approval of the ground lease with an increase of 3%. So the hangar rent will go from $1,900, help me with my notes, $20 a year to $1,968. The Airport Commission also reviewed this and recommends approval.
I am concerned about the airport out there, especially if we have hangars out there and we don't have a fire station out there. I've never seen an airport of any size that didn't have a fire station. I'm just wondering about it, I wonder why. Is there anything we can do about it?
Let me respond. We will set up a meeting with Councilman Poole and have the fire chief and the airport manager, and we can sit down and talk with you about the studies that we've done over the years about having either a piece of fire equipment or a fire station there. And we can tell you about our work and then hear your ideas.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Anne Marie. So I make the motion to approve the lease renewal with a 2.5% increase as presented.
Second, Mayor.
Motion and a second to approve the 10-year ground lease for the hangar. Further questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no? All right. Thank you, sir. Moving on to finance, chaired by Councilman Dixon, please.
So we have one thing on tonight, and it's recommended that the council approve the attendance and travel expenses for the newly elected officials to go to the UNC School of Government in Greenville. So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to send our newly electeds to the NC School of Government for training. Further questions, comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no? All right.
Mayor, with that, I request to leave this business.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jim. Moving now to new business, we have a couple items there, and I'll turn those over to Anne Marie, please, ma'am.
Mayor, the first item of new business is a request for a budget amendment, and we have identified funding in the general fund's sales tax line item, that those revenues are coming in higher than what we budgeted, which is always a good thing. We need about $25,000 to add to the general fund's sanitation budget on the expense side to pay for a contractor that will do some work at our yard waste debris site. And Corey, would you mind going to the podium and just briefing the council on why we need to spend this $25,000?
Good evening. Thank you for the time to speak. We're requesting the additional funds in the budget amendment in regards to our yard waste site. At our last council meeting, I know that we had discussed concerns in the city limits where how we process and handle the yard waste. One of the things that the state has some concerns about is grading and drainage. We've got a contractor that's going to come in to help us do that. It's a fairly large facility, and we're planning on using that money to work through kind of a two-phase cycle to get that area clean. That way we're in compliance with what the state's new requirements are.
Thank you, Corey. So Mayor, we have prepared the budget amendment, and you can see $25,000 would be added in the general fund revenue and then expensed out in the sanitation budget.
Okay. Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to make the budget amendment as just presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion and a second to do the budget amendment. Any further questions? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Very good. And the change order for street repairs, please, ma'am.
Yes, Mayor. As you know, when we received bids for our street overlay, we were fortunate. The bids came in under what our consulting engineer had estimated. So the council directed us to negotiate with the contractor and see if a change order could be made to that contract to add additional streets to the overlay project, and that has been done, and we emailed you the proposed change order yesterday, and it would add the paving of Mark Drive, Dick Street, and North Oakham from North Broad Street to Dick Street. And these 3 streets would be repaved along with Twitty Avenue, West Carteret Street, Luke Street, and West Hicks Street. And Mayor, the council previously approved a budget amendment so that in anticipation of this change order. So we're asking that the council approve the change order that will authorize Barnhill to do this additional work for the town.
That should be fairly easy. The chair would entertain a motion to have that happen.
Second.
All right, any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Long awaited, much needed.
Yes.
Yes.
And when are they possibly going to get started?
The plan is January 15th, depending on weather.
Is Luke Street one of the first to be done by any chance?
Corey, can you respond?
Luke Street.
Well, we're gonna, weather permitting, we'll begin, depending on where we can get most streets complete
Okay.
the soonest. And so that's the goal, so as long as the weather cooperates, we should be able to start. And that's definitely one of our top priority streets. So.
If it were perfect weather, Barnhill said it would take 2 weeks to do all the
Yeah.
repairs and overlay. But we're in that time of year where
When it's below freezing, you
be-
just can't.
could be delays, so. But they have agreed to complete all of the paving by March, the end of March. So hopefully they'll knock it out sooner, but
All right, very good. Next item of business are those items considered timely and important. Council members, anything you have to bring forward to share with your colleagues?
Mayor, I just had a couple things that really deal with traffic safety. I just wanted to know the status of sidewalk extension from West King down Granville around Water to the library. Is that in the realm of possibility within the next?
it is, and we had had a hard time getting proposals from contractors, but did, thanks to work with Bud Powell, get proposals, and we're going to be meeting with the property owners after the first of the year.
Great.
And
I see a lot of people walking down there with dogs, and that curve is dangerous. I'm just
But
afraid.
the council has funding in the budget for that
Great.
that project.
The other issue I had, Mayor, was some of our side streets off of Broad, Oakham, and Granville are not really marked parking or no parking. I think years ago, the no parking areas were painted yellow on the curbing. You knew not to park there. And on the other side, we had little white lines every so far. My concern is people from out of town don't know where to park right now. And what's happening, I've noticed in a couple streets, Gale, Church, and Eden, these out-of-town trucks would come in and park on the wrong side of the street, and it would cause a gauntlet for people just can't get past them. And just wondering if we're looking at properly identifying parking and no parking on some of these side streets. Is that
We can add that to our list.
okay?
Sure.
Blunt Street, you can barely make it out, but the rest of them, you just don't know. Okay.
Then figure some way to reroute the traffic.
Yeah, we talked about all kinds of things over the years, one-way streets.
Yeah.
A whole lot of different things, but anyway, we'll take it back up again. Yes, you got something you want to say, Corey?
One thing, I guess, that may give some comfort in that is existing places that are marked, we can move forward to try to correct those. There's a few that are on the list now, weather permitting. But anything new that would need a change would have to be brought forward. To council.
And not all these side streets have curbing, too. So,
All right, anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
I got one item here. That if we don't consider it tonight, we won't be considering it at any point in time because of the way that we're moving through on the building back here. And I'm glad it's moving through. I'm not trying to hold it up. Move on with it. But I have been asked, and so I'm going to put it out. During Mr. Glover's presentation, he talked about, that he had moved the restaurant to the inside, of course, and would not be needing the building that the Sunfish Group is keeping their stuff in. And I was just wondering if there was a way that we could move, and not only myself, I mean, it was brought to my attention, that's the reason I'm bringing it here tonight. If instead of the property that would be to the west side, I guess it is, if we could expand his property to the north side, and that way he would have a place that he could drive a truck down so that he could have ample place to put his dumpster and whatever else deliveries, pickups and deliveries and stuff like that. And then the Sunfish folks could still have the Sunfish Park if we condominiumize it. I remember using that word with Jerry Parks first time. The backside of it, if that was a possibility. Again, if I didn't bring it up tonight, it would be useless to bring it up at a later date, just because of us moving through with the appraisal. When we first set out to sell this, that was not even included in it. And then it came back, we realized our mistake, and came back and it was included. But if he's not going to need the property, and it would kill two birds with one stone, I'm just asking if there's yay or nay favor for something like that.
I just want to clarify, when you said the north side of the building, so that would be the area where the lawn, the front
Yes.
lawn is?
Yes.
Okay. I think that land is encumbered under the restrictions of the grant, the federal grant. We can change, we might have some leverage, some additional land that's not encumbered. It's the right-of-way for Dock Street. But I don't have the maps with me, but I'd be glad to, sit down and show you the maps and see if I'm understanding what you're asking. But because that's where we had talked with the land, remember the gal came, Gil, from the state, and because that's where we were talking about putting the new outdoor, or the new building that would store boats. And that would be allowed for us to construct something on that, but we would not be allowed to sell that front portion. Unless I'm misunderstanding.
No, I just thought maybe if we could move 10 foot over. I didn't realize it was that restricted that.
We would have to find, we can try to get restrictions relieved, but we would have to find light property that has not been used for outdoor recreation and do a trade.
It's a multiplier too, right? If you give up 1 acre, don't you have to buy like 3 or 5?
I'm not sure, you may be right, Mayor, there may be
I'm pretty
a
sure it is.
requirement. But we've asked, Mr. Glover about that building and his use, and I don't think you were at the meeting when he made his presentation.
No, but I've watched it on TV
He said,
for the next 14 days.
he said that he is he wanted more time to have his architects really drill down into the design and development. But his thoughts at this point were that he didn't need it, but he wasn't ready to make a commitment until he had that, until he invested in, until he was sure that he could buy the property, and then that he could invest, he could charge his architects to do, I think he said about, 15 or 20 more hours worth of design and development work.
So as I understand, you have to make a determination whether you can do that, but you don't think that we can. Is that where we are?
I don't think the way the map is drawn and the way that the state explained it to me, we can't move that property line 10 feet. There is a process to adjust property lines, but it's a very long process, and it involves the town contributing or anteing up a like piece of property that has not been used as public recreation. It has to be a new piece of property that would be used for recreation. We couldn't use anything in the park, in this park for the release.
If in fact even if he were to agree to it, there's nothing we can do.
On the north side, it's not up to him.
I mean, it's not like we're building a building on it. I thought that was the restriction on the building, that you couldn't do anything, I mean the property, that you couldn't do anything as far as building on it.
There are very limited opportunities for building, you're right. And when we met with them, when I met with the state, the gal, because it was a building that was going to support outdoor recreation, they thought that could be approved. But we would not be allowed to sell or lease a piece of that property for private use, for non-outdoor recreation use. But I'll talk with Luann Bryan?
Oh, yeah.
That's who has been guiding us, but I'd be glad to talk with her and confirm that.
Okay, anybody else have anything they'd like to bring before the group? If not, I'll open the floor for public comment. If you would, please take the podium, those who would like to address the town council, and we'll be happy to hear what you have to say. Yes, sir.
Gil Burroughs, I'd like to clarify what I had proposed. I had proposed that you move the west boundary, which is the side facing Pembroke Creek, 30 feet eastward, which would put the boundary line on the property to be sold to Mr. Glover adjacent to the main building. In his original proposal, the boat storage area in front of the Sunfish building was not a part of the deal. He has agreed to the original, which was not the total property. It was just a part of it. And if we were to move that western boundary 30 feet eastward, that would give Mr. Glover all the building that he needed. The Sunfish building and the boat storage area could remain in the town's ownership, and that would ensure the continuation of the sailing program. With regards to what you were talking about on the north side, the original proposal had a 6-foot wide clearance between the building and the protected property. With the new survey by Mr. Pruden, that width is now 10 feet. So with the new survey, he has a 10-foot wide alleyway, or whatever you want to call it, on the north side of the building. Nothing would have to be moved there. What I'd like to see you all consider is what I just said. Move the western boundary 30 feet to the east, and that would give Mr. Glover the main building, and like he said, he could possibly get the kitchen. Matter of fact, he presented it to you all, a drawing with the kitchen inside the main building, thereby not requiring the use of the Sunfish building. To me, this would be a very reasonable compromise, which should satisfy Mr. Glover and would also ensure the town ownership of the Sunfish building and the storage area in front of it. I think it would be something that you all should consider. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Glover is aware of that possibility because he realizes that there are no windows on that side of the building. It has no use for what his purposes are going to be inside the building. And depending on the results of the new appraisal that would take in the additional acreage as you described, then I think he'll make a decision. But he's not opposed to that thought. He can't even, his customers could hardly walk around the south side of the building to even get there. I mean, and it serves no purpose. It's just a piece of grass as far as his operation is concerned. I think he would agree with you on that point. Anybody else have a comment?
Gary Swanner. Come again to ask that you reconsider proposing to sell that property. I think it's a disservice to all the citizens of Edenton and Choyne County. Your goal has long been to make that a waterfront activity area, and that building could be used for that area. And I think it's just incomprehensible that you would sell property, that piece of property that council members are sitting here for years have worked so hard to get, and we have it, and now you want to turn it over to somebody else for their use in the future. So I'm asking you to reconsider doing that and focus your attention on using that property for the water activities that you could be using it for. Another aspect of if you are still going to go forward with looking at selling it, it's shameful because the proposal that was initially presented for the brew pub has now been downsized because of restrictions of the building itself. He's downsized the brewing, downsized the kitchen. What was envisioned as a good facility for brew pub and patrons to attend has now been downsized to nothing no more than almost a beer joint because the kitchen will not support what was originally proposed. So it makes more sense if you would put your activities into getting this brew pub at another location where you could have more property that he could envision and have that type of facility that was initially presented. A couple of concerns, one concern I have with it is one of the restrictions on it. On number 18, it says an approved buffer zone must be provided for appropriate review and approval prior to sale. This is to distinguish the commercial operation distinctly from the community park area. Now, when I saw his presentation, he had a screening on the east side of the property, which is the front of the property. As we're looking at now, this is the side that has street to screen it from the park. Now,
a long time I've lived here and the park's been here, I thought the park ran from here at the boat station right in front of us, all the way across that waterfront to include the boat launch over there and all the way to the bulkhead on the other side. That's all park area. I didn't see any screening on the south end of his proposal to screen that facility from that park area. The public has the right to go across that area, to access that area, to access the Sunfish building. And his picture clearly showed picnic tables, people lounging out there in the open park area, which is against what number 18 says. He would need to have screening on this side, which is the west side, as well as the south side to the building, so that nobody can wander off or have their picnic tables out there enjoying the business out on the public park. So I think you've not addressed that there. And then when it talks about having it for review and approval, all I heard him say was we may have a hard structure there, maybe 3 or 4 feet high. Then we're going to have some vegetation, 6, 7 feet high, whatever you wanted. I haven't seen any plans, and I don't think you have either, of the specifics of what he wants to put there. And I question that because you're not giving each property owner the fair and equal opportunity. Because just a few months ago, I was in here, and I heard you require a property owner to have detailed measurements, details on what type of vegetation was going to be in a buffer zone that was going to be had to be a whole lot wider than this one is, and you have not seen anything, any measurements, specific measurements to detail that buffer zone. And it states right there that the information must be to you before you can even approve it. So I don't understand how you can sell this property to him and you have not done what is that you're asking for him to do. I'm against you selling the property to him or anybody else. That property should stay to the citizens of this town to enjoy as a waterfront property and not encumber anything on the public part there. So I'd ask you to reconsider what you're trying to do here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swanner. Anybody else have a comment? Would like to address the council?
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Derek Armstead. Just to segue what he said, not too much. When he taught me in law school, when you're at the facts, argue the facts. When you don't, argue with emotion. In this case, I was hoping that the brew pub would bring in a lot more jobs. And if my math is correct, I think it's 2 people who will be full-time and up to 5 people part-time. So if it's true, if those numbers, I was just hoping it was going to bring a lot more jobs to the town of Edenton. And if it's possible to get any more jobs, I think that's going to help everybody. The people have spoken, so if that's the case, to move along with it, I just hope we could get more jobs out of this deal if Mr. Swanner says if we're going to give up that property. So I didn't have much to say, but that was something that was in my heart, so I just wanted to bring it to the town council's opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arch. Other comments, questions, concerns? Okay, seeing no further ones, we'll close the public comment portion of our agenda. And that leads us to adjournment. Chair would consider a motion to do so.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I can't vote, but I'll do it.
See you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate it.